Hi, I'm Patrick Maliha for the new driver's seat, and I'm here with the king of customs, George Barris. Now, you may not be familiar with the name, but you are most definitely familiar with the cars that he has designed, all the way from the original Batmobile from the 1966 TV show through to the General Lee to Kit for Knight Rider.
Well, it's a great pleasure to be here because we were very fortunate to do a lot of television cars, right in from of course, the Monsters and the Beverly Hillbillies, and of course the Kit car and the Dukes of Hazzard and many others.
So now, you were mentioning earlier that Kit from Knight Rider, that was the most difficult car you ever had to design?
We built one car, was called a pursuit car. That means it had to do speeds of 150 miles an hour in the air like a rocket. So we had to have everything computerized, where the front end would come out, diaplane, so you could go up and down the air, the whole top and everything would move, back end would come out, rocket tubes would come out, so we could shoot into the air. And that was the one part of it that was hard. But the other part was we had to stop like a jet. That means we had to have air brakes. The top came up, the doors came out, the fenders came out like air brakes of a jet. So that was kind of hard because we had to do all of that on a blue screen to simulate that David Hasselhoff can fly like Buck Rogers. When I really started in Sacramento, California, when I was a young kid, my parents gave me their hand-me-down 1925 Buick. And at that time, I was only 14 years old. My brother drove. I had to go to the hardware store and get a house paint scallops on the fenders. I'd run to the kitchen store and get some pans and put some hubcaps on. Then I went to my mother's cabinet, and I took all those gold knobs off the cabinets, and I put it in my grill. So when I went to school, I was really the king of all schools until I got home, and Mom wanted to get into her cabinets, and of course she couldn't get in there. So a typical teenage kid, I was in big trouble.
Why do you think the cars that you design have become so iconic? What is it about what George Barris does that people love in their cars?
I think the biggest thing is that the cars we make are like stars. They're entertaining, they're fun, they're functional, they got the look, the charisma. And like when you do a car for a film, it has to be a star. It has to entertain you. It's got to be like Adam West. It's got to be like the Batman and Robin and the Monsters and everything. So that was the thing that made it more interesting, that the cars become a major part of the people and the show. Like when I did Batman, when I went to Dozier and he said, I want a 20th century Batmobile, a crime fighter, in 1966 for the year 2000. Well, I looked at the script and what do I see? Pow, bang, wow. I said, well, if you're going to have that in the script, I got to have it in the Batmobile. So I did the same thing, rocket tubes and nail spreaders and oil squirters, anti-theft control, and Adam would get in there as Batman and push a button and he'd be flying out of the seat. So that's what made it interesting, that it became probably the world's most popular car.
Now, when you design these cars, do you think of them as like they're your babies? Do you look at them and go say, oh, I can't give this up? Or is it just one of those things where you're an artist and you just say, I'm moving on, I keep moving forward?
I don't think that it could ever be where you got to move them on. I ended up, in the 80s, I ended up with 192 cars. So my wife said, either you sell some cars or you got to sell me. So we had a big auction, and I found out that it's really important that we do get a lot of the cars out of museums. I have a museum in Volo, Illinois, Gatlinburg, Tennessee, Peterson's in Hollywood. So it's kind of good that somebody back in the East and West and wherever they are, they can enjoy the cars rather than me having them huddled in a warehouse and nobody gets to enjoy them. So I like it when they spread their wings too.
Now, what kind of car does George Barris drive?
Well, it depends on what day. If I'm in a good mood, I'll jump into my Hemi, and I'll go ahead and jump over the curbs and back around, and then my Jaguar convertible. I even drive a little hybrid, which is kind of fun. And of course, the hard part is when you get up in the morning, you start it, you get ready to go, and you say, where's the engine? You want to hear that muscle car, rah, 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 like Flowmasters, and it just doesn't happen. All of a sudden, zoom, off you go.
Thank you very much. I'm Patrick Maliha for the new driver's seat, and I've been talking with the king of customs, George Barris.